Hey, this is BJ. Thanks for listening to our show's podcast. If you're a fan of all things geeky, you should check out my other podcast, BJ Shea's Geek Nation. We have new episodes every day, and you can check it out at bjgeeknation.com.
Your driver's license is important so you can get back and forth to work, get your kids to school, and back and forth to daycare. If your license has been suspended because you can't pay your tickets, you can't do any of those things. Let's talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You may have heard the tickets cannot be discharged, but they can be dealt with in a Chapter 13 case. Why not come in for a free consultation? The chapter you choose will make all the difference to your getting back legally on the road. Let's design a plan to pay off your tickets and restore your license immediately. I'm attorney Travis Gagne. Please contact me today at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com.
99.9 KISW, the Rock of Seattle. O.J. Simpson, good old O.J., he sounded off on Twitter about the Oscars slap controversy. The slap heard around the world. And he recalled a time when he was the subject of jokes by many comedians and how it made him feel.
Hey, look, it was unfortunate. I think Will was wrong. I understood the feeling. Now, in my life, I've been through a lot of crap when I was raising two young kids, and every comedian in the country had an OJ routine, and don't think I wouldn't want to be slapped a couple of those guys, but you got to accept it's humor, but I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, OJ, whenever he posts a video up on Twitter, I'm watching it because it's just a fascinating adventure.
I mean, look, it's OJ, but he does make some good points. I mean, look, I don't know. I really can't honestly tell you whether he did or didn't do that horrific crime. If he did not, what a life this poor guy has had. I mean, granted, he hasn't done himself any favors by being OJ and also committing some smaller crimes that he had to go to jail for. Mm-hmm. But the idea that you are suspected of doing something as heinous as what he is, a lot of people believe he did. And if you didn't, God, dude, what a life you've got that you've got to live with that your whole life. And of course, he was the butt of a ridiculous amount of jokes. And again, if you didn't do it, he's right. I mean, he had to live with it, and he's, like he said, he probably wanted to slap a lot of people who were making jokes about him in those days.
Either way, if I was guilty or not, I think I would just stay off social media, though, if I'm O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, you would. I know you. You would be done. Yeah, there's no way you'd be involved.
Right.
It is funny to hear O.J., who many people think is guilty of that horrific crime, going, yeah, Will Smith was wrong for slapping a guy. And it's like, wait, did you just say he was wrong for slapping a guy? And yet a lot of people think you did something so much worse. In this clip, O.J. believes he would be treated differently if he did the same thing as Will.
I know this. After what happened to me in Las Vegas, if I would have done that in front of 1 billion people watching around the world, they would have given me life without. I'm just saying, hey, take care.
No, they wouldn't. You didn't even get life without for being accused of murder. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I feel like, maybe because of your past and other stuff that you have been accused of. I don't know. I don't know where you are in the, as far as what their tolerance is of your behavior. I don't know. But
I feel like now that we've got OJ's word, he's the final word. That's how I say.
I know you feel like that way, but frankly, I have read some stuff by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that I think is an awesome final word. I think that should be the final word.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are talking about the Kareem thing, too.
Yeah, and, here's the thing that Kareem's got going for him, and the older I get, the more I really understand this. Man, sometimes old people have great wisdom, and Kareem is older than I am. I think he's in his 70s, close to 80. If he's at least like 73ish, right?
74.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
You get to his point, and I've been following a lot of what Kareem has done. He has really he's become quite a philosopher or just a wise dude. Like every time he opens his mouth, you're like, man, this guy, you know what? He's spitting some knowledge. And so I'm like, every time Kareem speaks, I'm like, okay, I want to hear what this guy has to say.
And he used to work with Will Smith. He was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for a little bit.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It was like a couple episodes, if I remember correctly. Definitely one. He played himself, which is, Stretch, of course.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I see what you did, Stretch.
I didn't even mean that.
Yeah. Well, he came out that way anyway, because, that's how talented you are. If you haven't read the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar piece, everyone's posting it on Facebook, so I'm sure you'll see it somewhere. But I think it's somebody who I think is definitely qualified to speak about this in a lot of ways. And the biggest way is he's an old dude, and old dudes sometimes have seen a lot and have, it seems like he's done a lot of work on himself and a lot of reflection. And I think those kind of folks are valuable. Mm-hmm. And so I really got a lot of respect for Kareem. Whether you agree with him or not on this one, I still think he's one of the wisest guys we got out there and should be listened to if he wants to say something about something.
And Chris Rock still hasn't said anything. And he's doing a stand-up show, I think, tonight. I got to imagine there's a lot of people. Man. I think it's tonight.
I hope people record that so that we can hear the audio, because he's got to say something, and maybe that's it. Maybe he's just waiting on his stage to respond the way he's comfortable to respond, which is within a performance.
What if he says nothing at the show?
That would be amazing.
Doesn't even tell jokes. He just stands up there and just waves at people.
How do you not even get heckled? And then if you're Chris, here's what I'm worried about. There's a lot of people on Team Will. I would be worried to go on a stage. I really would be, because, and that's what a lot of comedians are saying, is now everybody thinks that they're worried, well, now does anybody at a comedy club, who already we know comedy clubs, they don't have great policing when it comes to keeping people from being idiots. We know this. I know this from being in the craft. There's no security.
I mean, I've never seen anything awful happen, but I've seen people go up on the stage. I think it was our Bert Kreischer show, and someone walked up and just drank his beer and then just kept going. And it was if I remember correctly, that's what happened. It was such an awkward thing.
You forget the dude we had on our show.
Nick DiPaolo.
Yes.
I wasn't there for that, but I remember.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Now, he's the one that, arguably, I don't know who instigated it, but Nick just decided he was going to take matters in his own hands. And next thing you know, he's in a crowd, and he's just, but he's a former Boston boy. And you know what? Boston boys sometimes think that, the fight is the best way to fix this.
Yeah, someone came up and he got into with a listener of our show, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how it all started. I don't know who instigated it all, but yeah, Nick really went overboard.
And then there was a guy that came up, remember the dude that we talked to, Dylan, that he was a stand-up comic, and someone came up with a bat. I mean, it's obviously, sadly, this is something that has gone on forever, with idiots that decide to go up on stage. I don't know if I'm Chris Rock. I think if you're doing an arena show, I'm feeling a lot safer doing an arena type of a show, or a theater, as opposed to a stand-up comedy club where the security is none. Or they're in the back of the room, and there's obviously there's rows of people sitting right up to the stage, and the stage is 2 feet up in the air.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how he responds. At least in his act. But yeah, he said nothing about this. I find it, I don't know. I mean, look, you can't get in trouble for what you don't say. And maybe he's just practicing that, saying, you know what, I'm not going to say a thing.
Someone says, Chris made a statement. That wasn't him.
No, that wasn't.
That was, unless he's put out one sometime in the last few hours.
I don't think so, no.
That was it was either a comic or a person, a media personality that decided, if I was Chris Rock, this is what I would say as an apology. And it somehow, within moments, changed to being someone coming up with an apology to Chris Rock coming up with the apology.
This is an important thing. I mean, I know you know this, but maybe you don't. You really have to be careful when you see stuff on Facebook or any social media believing it to be true. Like all the images of people, now they're showing Skeletor of here's the reaction of everybody in the crowd when Will Smith slapped him, and they got Skeletor in there looking like it, which I thought
you'll
was
see
really
one
funny.
little frame of just, you're like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's well, I knew Skeletor would have something to say about this. That's for sure. You can't trust this crap. You really, it's the Wikipedia situation. You can't believe it because people can just put anything on there. And you have to sort of take a step back and go, is that really true? Maybe I should check that.
And it's looking like it was his brother, Tony Rock, who's just been replying to people on Twitter. Just their questions.
That was Tony's statement?
Tony's been saying different things as well. So I'm wondering if people are getting confused. People are do you approve of the apology? And he's just saying one-word answers, no. Do you agree with this? He's stating stuff.
I don't think that's the guy that wrote the apology that people have been sharing, but that's funny because there's a guy named Will Smith who's
old dude.
his username on Twitter is like at Will Smith, but he's not Will Smith the slapper. He's Will Smith, some random, like, he's a personality, like, in whatever field that he's in.
Podcaster.
A podcaster or a writer. And people, even though his profile picture, he does not look anything like Will Smith, people have been, like, yelling at him. And he's like, guys, I'm not Will Smith.
He's a redhead.
Yeah.
He's a redhead white dude.
That is so funny.
You just have to look at the profile.
And he's verified, too, though. That's, boy, that's a beating.
So, yeah, probably someone sees Will Smith verified, they're like, oh, nice try trying to hide from us with that redheaded face, but that's not you.
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't be, you know what? I mean, you can do that on Twitter, too. You can try to make yourself look like what you're not. So
nice disguise, not Will Smith.
Yeah, right. Whatever. Yeah, it is. It's been quite a situation to see just where people are and how they be. And I mean, I've had friends of mine really say some things that I thought, wow, I thought you were somebody that was all about peace and love. And then their response to this has not been peace and love. And I'm just like, oh, maybe you ought to go take a look in the mirror. And that's probably something a lot of people need to do when they're just screaming and yelling, whether they're team this or team that. It's like,
right.
Hey, yeah. I mean, it's been quite an adventure. Really, really has been, man. Oh.
What's next? What celebrity drama are we getting next?
I know, dude. But think about this, though. I mean, this has lasted a couple of days. It usually doesn't last that long. Things are so quick now. You know, even if you get in trouble, you usually get bumped off. You get bumped off the front page news and bumped off the social networking, the trending news, and something else comes along. You don't have to worry about, like, being in trouble because people want to find something new quick.
I wonder if, like, Will and Chris are both just thinking, can somebody else do something stupid so we can move on and argue about that person as opposed to us?
Yeah, a lot of folks are saying Vladimir Putin's very, very happy about this because he's like, you know what? Finally, you are focusing on somebody else and calling them bad things, you know. And so now that's what they're waiting for. They're like, boy, I really wish somebody would come along and be a jerk. Well, I'm not going to do it for you. That was the old me.
Oh, we got 2 more hours in the show.
Oh, that's a good point. You're right. All right, you're right. You don't want to piss somebody off doing something. Do it.
That's the spirit.
There we go. I can do it.
I believe in you.
There was a recent study that was done that says that there is a certain movie that will make people want to speed when they're driving. What is it? Oh, I'll tell you at 8:17 on The Rock.
BJ and Migs, mornings on The Rock, 99.9 KISW.
99.9 KISW, The Rock of Seattle. I don't know, maybe this is a no-brainer, but somebody did this study and found out that fans of movies like The Fast and the Furious tend to speed more than the rest of us. Thank you for spending all this money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was hoping it was going to be like something that's a little bit of like a head-scratcher, like fans of the movie Cocoon love to drive fast.
Fans of the movie Cocoon, thank you for bringing back that movie that maybe 2 people know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do. I couldn't think of another movie that features old, slow people.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Grumpy old men.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but
oh, wow.
They're grumpy. They might be just reckless when they drive.
They were battling a lot in those movies, too.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie. I just know the name, and it sounds like a slow movie.
It had, well, you know, who knows? By today's standards, Danny, you may be right, but it was a funny movie back in the day. Cocoon was a cool movie back in the day, too.
No,
but
it wasn't. It was the worst movie ever.
I would disagree with you, at least at the time. I don't know if it holds up, but at the time, but it wasn't a Steve movie. That's for sure.
It wasn't the worst ever, but I mean, I don't
it was
think
interesting.
It was
it's just, you know, Steve. You know how he is.
I'm a tastemaker, and I'm telling you, it was a terrible
That's what
movie.
it is. People were asked how often they break the speed limit and how often they're exposed to content that encourages speeding. That includes movies, shows, and games like Grand Theft Auto. I don't know, man. I drive in California a lot. I drive here a lot. And I just feel like people are just going to go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit on the freeway. That's just how it is.
I always find that one person that wants to go right at the speed limit or maybe even 2 miles per hour lower than the speed limit, and they're driving in the passing lane. I have this amazing ability to be behind that person all the time.
It's your superpower.
It is, man. It's like there's like a magnet for that person.
Oh.
So I
never get if you were driving like 57 miles per hour or 55 miles per hour on a 60 mile per hour, right? And every car behind you is making it a point to find a way to get around you. Wouldn't that trigger something in your head that, you know what? maybe for the good of everyone on the road, I should just go over a lane.
No, because it's the troll person who's just
I know.
you know what? I'm not moving. You can go around me.
It's the speed limit. That's the limit, and I'm just below the limit.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
You're breaking the law. You're in the passing lane.
Yeah. Well, and the passing lane is no longer the passing lane either. Because even Rev, look, I'm guilty of that, even though I'm going faster than anybody and therefore I'm not really holding anybody up, but I shouldn't be in that lane. Because I'm not passing at that point.
Yeah, if you're not passing someone, you shouldn't be in that lane.
Here's the problem. It's the fast lane. That's what it's become. That left lane is the fast lane. Yeah. So Rev is right. I'm breaking the law, too. So it's hard for me to get mad at somebody going too slow in the passing lane when I should be out of there myself.
See, my rule is I stay in that lane until someone's creeping up behind me, and then that means I need to get over so that they can go past me.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what I do.
And then I look at them like, yep, not all heroes wear capes. I'm here for you. And they like flip me off because I still slow them down.
Yeah, it is. It's the dude, though, that's got the fancy car, like the McLaren type dude who likes to go in and out of everybody at crazy speeds, which, to me, that's when you wish you just could be like a cop. That's when the only time I want to be a cop is like, I'm going to pull that jerk over right now. I can't catch him in my Hyundai, but I'll try.
The only time I ever feel like something caused me to want to drive fast, like maybe a song, like there's a couple like Motley Crue, like Kickstart My Heart, you started getting a little amped up, or even like that Saints of Los Angeles song. I don't know why it's always Motley Crue, but for
funny.
me. But I remember one time a bunch of us went and did go-kart racing, and it was so much fun. And then I think it was a work event. Like I think it was like one of our little station parties, like over 10 years ago.
Yeah. I remember that.
And I remember leaving that establishment and getting back in my car. And I just wanted to go really fast and really reckless. Like, it was like my body just wanted to, like, just zoom by and run. I was like, because I think I was just conditioned for, like, the last couple of hours to be driving as fast as humanly possible, even though fast as humanly possible in a go-kart wasn't all that fast.
Well, some video games can do it to you as well. Grand Theft Auto is also, people that like that game like to go fast. I remember just, like, Need for Speed and all those great car racing games.
Yeah, I've been playing some Forza lately, and that's kind of that same thing where it's just like, I want to go fast. I got these cool cars, and then I've got my reliable commuter, which does not do that.
It's completely different when you're in a car that isn't designed for that, though, because I know that with my car, once I go past 80, it feels like it's like, all right, I'm like, I'm trying to break the gravity barrier and leave and go into space. It's just shaking and everything is like, okay, it's not like a video game where you can go 200, 300 miles an hour and you go, well, I'm still sitting in the same chair. I'm not really feeling any different.
Have you guys ever been on a long road trip and you're like driving mostly freeways, going like 70, 80 miles an hour, and then you're trying to like adjust back to city living and you're like, man, I'm driving so slow.
Yes.
And you're going like 15 miles over.
Even just the trek to Eugene, because we've done that quite a bit now with like I wrestle over at Powell Pro Wrestling in Eugene. And, like while you're driving through Oregon, there are moments where it's 70.
Yep.
And then it's like what 70 means closer to 80. And then you're feeling it. And then if you're not paying attention to the road signs, you're still doing like close to 80, and then you realize, oh crap, this is now 60 miles per hour. And then you feel like you're like, man, so many times where I'm thinking I'm going to get pulled over because I'm not paying attention to the speed limit.
It just feels right.
Yeah. Well, I just got conditioned for like the last X amount of miles that 70 is the speed limit.
Yeah,
so
for me,
bull crap.
Sorry, buddy.
I'm so angry.
Yeah, the ending of when a freeway ends, like if you're on 520 East, and then it no longer is a freeway, and I don't realize that. Just you just don't. You think, hey, I'm on 520, it's a freeway, and then all of a sudden you're like, why is everybody stopped? Oh crap! All right, yeah. Oh, those are beatings when your freeway just ends and you kind of forget that it's going to do that.
We'll say that on 512 because 512 eventually hits that part where it's like the Lakewood area. And they even put up the signs and say, hey, speed limit 45. But I swear I've never seen anyone start slowing down until they see that stoplight.
Well, and dude, there's the Sizzlers there that actually got a car went through it.
What?
Whoa. Yeah. This was a couple months back.
Yeah,
but someone drove through the Sizzlers.
Man, I love Sizzlers. So there's
not a whole lot of them left. So I mean, you got to keep them safe.
That's still a bucket list restaurant for me.
Are you serious?
Sizzler?
No. What? Oh, well, there's one right there at the end of 512 you can go to.
And I hear it's a drive-through.
Well, for one person.
No, it's one of those ones, but when I was a kid, Sizzler was like fine dining.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, we couldn't afford to go to Sizzler. Like, if we wanted meat, we had to go to McDonald's. Like, that was the upgrade,
Oh, see, I was allowed to go to Sizzler, but we couldn't order the meat for that same reason. We would just get the salad bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we never went to Sizzler. It was just like, that was like going to Canlis for my family.
Wow.
And then over the years, obviously, Sizzler, I mean, it is what it is. It's not a fine dining place. I don't even know if it was back then.
I love Sizzler, and it is probably one of my favorite places to go still.
Oh, when's the last time you've been to one?
Well, before they shut the one down in South Center, we would go once every other week.
All right, one of these days, let's go to Lakewood Sizzler.
Need to make it happen.
I know what you mean, Steve, because there was the same thing with my family. Like those kind of restaurants were considered like, fancy places to go. Like like people that had money, like all my friends that lived in the northern part of my town, because the northern part of my town was more affluent than where I lived in the southern part. And you'd be like, oh, you went to Sizzler. Of course you did, because you're the fancy northern folks. And, it was, the Olive Garden was like that.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because it looked really cool inside, and it looked like it was a high-class joint. They had cloth tabletop, I thought. It was like, oh, it's not paper. You don't draw on these things. Okay, this is a fancy place.
That's how Red Lobster was like, oh, that's high-end seafood. And that's one day, like, for us, it was like, Mom, Dad, come on, please, can we go to TGI Fridays or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bad that this entire time I thought Sizzler was like a Hooters where really attractive people work just based on the name?
No, it's a steakhouse, baby.
Oh, I thought it was like Sizzler, like, ooh,
They had the endless shrimp as well, too.
Which
two of my buddies actually got physically ill from eating so much shrimp.
So they found the end.
Yeah, they found their own end.
Oh, someone just texted, I'm working on this Sizzler right now, fixing the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bet, yeah.
It's basically a Acropolis without the strippers.
Acropolis! There we go.
Yeah, I totally want to go to a Sizzler.
I love this because because I know there was a great chat on Reddit where people are talking about the things that used to mean you were upper class, but now signal that you're not, because you're
going
right,
to
Steve.
Sizzler.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, going to Sizzler, going to the Olive Garden, you were considered highfalutin, at least when I was growing up. You were considered like, wow, someday I'll be able to go there when I want to. Because I remember I want to go there. And my father and mother like, what do you think, we're rich or something? No, you know what? We're not going there. You're lucky we take you to McDonald's once in a while. And, so here's the thing that so in Reddit, they've got a whole bunch of things that used to mean this. People were talking about. If you had a 35-inch TV, you were considered like, okay, you made it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you had a flat screen. And that was the joke on The Office, if you guys remember that episode where Michael finally got a flat screen TV, but it was like an iPad-sized flat screen TV that he put on the wall. and that, yeah, a 35-inch TV or a flat screen TV meant you made it. You were the man.
For us, it was if you had a TV with a remote control. And not your youngest son named Steve that could just stand by the TV and change the channels for you.
That's how old you and I are, Steve.
I know. Dude, my first thought when you brought this up was, if you had a front-loading VCR, you were like,
yes. Oh, not the top loader?
Right.
Yeah, I remember those top loaders.
We had the top loader, and we had a stack VHS tapes on top of it to keep the top from popping up.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know, dude. You're absolutely right. How about this? And I remember this. This was a thing, and maybe it was the Brady Bunch where I first heard the term and just said, I want this. And my parents were like, what do you think? We're rich and fancy? Wall-to-wall carpeting used to be like a high-end, you made it kind of a thing.
Really?
And now people don't want it at all. I mean, it's all about hardwood floors and all natural floors.
Yeah.
But wall-to-wall carpeting was the thing.
Even
look
in
at
the
all
bathroom?
Oh, man.
That just sounds gross.
Well, and that was the thing. I remember being in quote unquote fancier houses with carpeted bathrooms, and I'm like,
I think you're
just
right.
Terrible. Like,
dude, some of the toilets were carpeted. Like, that shag carpeting kind of toilet.
Oh, the cover on top.
My mom loved those. She still does, and I have to steer away from her. So thank
and the big, thick, the
cushion one.
Yeah, the big, thick cushions for the seating. So posh.
Those were nice for like the first couple weeks until they started cracking, and then all of a sudden it was like you're risking paper cuts on your butt.
Yeah, it would pinch your butt hairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They weren't. Yeah. How about this? Flip phones. At the time when you had one, you were like, whoa, you must be either a drug dealer or a big business.
But I feel like nowadays I feel like a lot of 90s and 2000s fashions and trends and nostalgia, it's hitting like the younger generations. They're really loving it. So I'm seeing a lot of younger people with flip phones, which is
really?
weird.
They're going back to them, huh?
I think they might have like their iPhone or maybe a tablet, but then they'll have a flip phone just to seem cool and like nostalgic and old school or whatever.
It's funny you say, because I have a buddy, he wrestles around, this guy Shaft, and he's an awesome dude, and he's like off the grid kind of a dude. Like, he just doesn't like to be just immersed with everything. So he has a flip phone, obviously, for work reasons and for wrestling and like to be able to be reached. But I remember seeing him the last time, and like, I'm looking at him, and he's got the flip phone. I'm like, man, that's gotta feel good. Like, you don't have like that weird urge to check social media
because you can't.
It's just, it is exactly what it was originally meant for, calls. And maybe text if you're really feeling kind of crazy and you want to do like
the T9.
Yeah,
good luck with that.
Let's go back to beepers.
Beepers.
Wow.
Beepers.
See, I thought
never had one.
I thought people were fancy when they had beepers because I'm like, wow. Like,
again, drug dealer, or you were a fancy business guy.
you're not wrong.
I had some friends that had those, like, when I started high school, and especially when they started coming in colors. And this was like right before cell phones hit. Yeah. But they had like the little like orange or green ones, and I was like, I want one of those. It's like, why? You can't call anyone back. You have to find a payphone bank.
Yeah, the only beeper I ever wanted or had were the ones with the bubble gum in them.
Yeah. The candy ones, yes.
Awesome. So it says, I have those fuzzy lid, toilet lid covers, not just the seat, it's just the lid. And I sit on that lid to put my shoes and socks on. It's washable. That's good.
Well, remember, people put that rug around the toilet, the toilet rug?
Yeah.
Which, of course, I look at it and like, go, pretty much we miss, and you're going to have to wash that like every day.
Yeah, it's like a sponge, essentially.
But basically, that's what people used to do growing up. They always had, like, the linoleum floor in the bathroom, but the toilet rug.
Yep.
Vicky
and I hate those toilet rugs so much.
We had exactly what Vicky found, this like shag carpet lid.
Tank.
And then the carpet around it, but ours was red. It wasn't pink. The tank wasn't carpeted. We weren't able to afford that.
Yeah, see, that was super fancy if you had the carpeted tank.
If it was on sale, my mom found the one that you would put on top of the tank. It wouldn't cover the whole tank. It was just like a little strip of cloth just for the top.
Yep.
See, if I was like still like doing like crazy like rave party stuff, like my house, like if I was like into like those like crazy hallucinogenic experiences, like I'd have a room where that would also be part of the room. The bathroom is all just fuzzy.
That's like Rev's rainbow room. It's just minus the toilet.
Right.
Yeah. I got no toilet up there, but there's a lot of fuzzy stuff.
Well, it looks like they sell like them for the actual.
They still sell that.
They sell them for like the actual toilet seat.
Oh, yeah, do it.
Oh, yeah, we
do
have
it.
those.
You had that part too?
Yeah, but ours was like Rev said, like it was a cushion one. It wasn't a carpeted kind of
Yeah,
one.
the cushion one.
The cushion ones were fun too because you'd sit on it and it would just go.
Yes. It'd been funny if it was a whoopee cushion. So when you sat on it, it just farted for you. Like, okay, setting the tone.
We're going to be 100 airs with this idea. Let's do it.
Right.
Love this plan. Yesterday, Steve, he did get this one wrong.
What was the name of Dr. Evil's cat in the Austin Powers movies?
Little Evil?
No.
Little P word?
No.
Oh.
Wow. I don't know. I can tell.
Jeff.
No.
Jeff, you were so close. It was actually Mr. Bigglesworth, which was...
Maybe it was Jeff Bigglesworth.
It was Jeffy, Jeffy Bigglesworth.
If it's Jeff Bigglesworth, I want my money back.
All right, you're going to get everything you paid for.
Thank you.
206-421-ROCK. We're playing Pete Miggs. We'll do it at 8:47 on The Rock.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Travis Gagne, bankruptcy attorney. He's here right now and has agreed to answer more of your questions about bankruptcy. Here's another question from a listener. I'm getting my wages garnished. Can bankruptcy help with that?
Absolutely. One of the big reasons people file bankruptcy is because they have a judgment or a lawsuit against them, or their wages are getting garnished, and so they can't pay their other regular ongoing bills. People sometimes think that you can't file bankruptcy once they have a judgment against them or once a garnishment has started, and that's not true. Filing bankruptcy will immediately stop any garnishment that you have going, except for child support, and stop your creditors from continuing on with garnishments of your bank account, your wages, and in most cases will discharge that liability through the bankruptcy process. And we can file a bankruptcy case for you usually the day you come in.
Thanks, Travis. If you have more questions about bankruptcy, you can reach out to Travis anytime at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com. Thanks for listening.